we're going to jump into some YouTube here. It's late. I had to put another shirt on. Um, let's talk about something good. Got a Mr. X here on the Twitter. Right away, they think you're making some kind of threats. I'm talking about these data centers, and we're going to do something about this clarity on this camera. I noticed my camera, I was fiddling with it, and I fiddled and I should have fuddled. Well, I just fumbled. Yes, the cat's very upset when the phone rings this late at night. He usually knows it's not good news or Dad's got to go. We're going to talk about Malburger, Chinese Mr. Leak, about these data centers, okay? Most of our community here in Pennsylvania, in this area, Schuylkill, Hazleton, they weren't supposed to build a data center. The entire community is against it. Basically, this is Chinese espionage. I'm going to give you, for example, like with all these cameras that they're setting up everywhere, and they want to put cameras in people's homes. Suppose you invent something. Suppose you're like Elon Musk. Suppose I invent some sort of mystery engine. Runs on water. Sound familiar about a guy? No, I'm not inventing anything like that. But I'm just saying, suppose my device is on a trailer. You understand where I'm going with this? They can see everything. Soon they're going to be able to surveil every neighborhood. These data centers, they say, oh, they're for retention of this and it's going to create jobs and lower taxes. It's a goddamn fucking spy center being set up in your communities. And they take a lot of energy. They suck whatever's right. I mean, they're doing it now. Google, they're sucking everything right off your computer. In other words, this is where this is going. This 5G technology and stuff, at a higher azimuth, and I wanted to, because a lot of people, maybe your trees aren't suffering where you're at, and maybe you get a lot more rain than we do. But we're at a higher azimuth here, and that microwave energy is burning the tops of the trees. Why would it be worse here? We're at a higher azimuth, a higher altitude. The air is thinner. Therefore, that microwave signal is a lot stronger. That's why a lot of people, when Verizon was pulling their fraud and their hocus pocus, they were actually tapping into towers miles away, thinking, you would wonder why, like I did, I already knew what was up. My line speed would drop out at certain, the communicable times. The busy times. The busy time of the morning, 10 a.m., my signal would flatline. I could stay up all night long into the wee hours, and I had perfect internet. Okay? I didn't have the best upload and download speeds, not like I do now. You get where I'm going with this? A lot of people, they were getting hoodwinked. They were paying for internet to Verizon, and they were hooked on to some other Wi-Fi way out. Or they were on a trunk line, like a phone line like I was, which just has one repeater and it's serving multiple households. These people, they think you're a fucking moron. They try to take advantage of you, just like Mr. X here. He says, oh, you got to be calm and about the process. When they're violating the will of the constitutional will, those data centers, they could tell you there's nobody in them. It's shut down once it's built. They have remote networks. They wouldn't need a person in those. Those outside of, you'll see a service truck, maybe it'll get hidden, it'll drive right in, you'll never even know it even went in there. They're doing it with drones. You saw the prison. If anybody missed that video, you got to look it up. Something Traveler, he has a video of an autonomous drone network set up at a prison, and I believe that was out in Washington. It was Northern California. It was in Northern California. But there was the DJI, and they're not the Mavic. These drones got their own house that opens up. It's on a Starlink network, Elon Musk. Spy networks. The more I'm finding out and the more I'm looking at this stuff, I'm not really getting to be a fan of Elon anymore. Okay? I'm just telling you, something's killing our trees. Now, did the insects come first? Maybe they did. coming over with all that Chinese goods. But something's burning the tops of the trees. Something's making the branches want to reach back down towards the ground. You need to look at the larger picture of what is going on and how diseased animals are getting. Up here in the Northeast, you hardly see a bird anymore. I mean, I'm talking, we used to see flocks of birds when I was a kid. The whole sky would turn black with birds. You don't see birds no more. I don't see my old cardinals. I had a family of cardinals here. Last year they disappeared. There's one or two young cardinals around, and I fear for them. I know birds can't sit on high tension lines. Sometimes they turn into a puffball. That's bad enough. But what else is killing these animals? I am sorry. I am itchy. I was working with a malleable product, and it did not get away. It did not get along with me. I have to say, okay, I'm going to tell you about this right now. Okay, you have land deals being worked out there in between Cambodia and Thailand. Okay, the Chinese are influencing this. They want to set up these data centers. They want to have online gambling, gambling houses, even whorehouses. Basically, they want to force you to this crypto is what it's all about. This is a grab that everything, you're not going to have private possession of money to stick underneath your pillow or to give your son a quarter for the tooth fairy. They want to move everything to this digital life. This is where that's going. It's already maddening. I got to straighten things out for my parents because people think they have technology to work the internet that I barely have a grasp of working. But this is where they're going with this. This is these cyber networks that they're going to start wars until they get control. In other words, you might have a smaller country, say Thailand, Cambodia. Thailand's not that small a country, but Cambodia is pretty small. Cambodia, I believe, is about the size of maybe Iran, Iraq. Okay? They have a lot more population. But suppose they kept their currency. And suppose their currency grows beyond the mainstream currency. Do you see where I'm going with this? So this is your global control. This is your central bank that's coming in. This is the start of it, is these global wars. And this is what they're working towards. Okay? This Ben Malberger, he has a bunch of aliases. Ben Smith, okay? And so does Mr. Leak there, the Chinaman. I just call him Mr. Sneak. You see, I have close ties to U.S. Navy intelligence. I got a far insight into things. Not necessarily do I know about everything. Sometimes I have to ask about something. I didn't have to ask about this. What I was discussing just about 3 months ago with somebody, it was right here on the internet tonight. It's called China Uncensored. And I do think some of my people that I'm close to are actually close to that network. I don't know. The other man I'm going to think about, Stephen Burns. He seems to know an awful lot about this Chinese network. But another thing I wanted to ask people, I don't know if you have closed circuit television, maybe surveillance cameras or some things, because a colleague of mine just mentioned to me, he says, hey, Dutch, he says, did you see things falling out of the air the other day? You would have thought maybe it was snow, but it wasn't snow. It was some sort of material coming down, volcanic eruption. I know there's fires everywhere. But this guy lives about a good maybe 200 miles from where I live. But he was, yeah, you see, you have to be perceptive. But yeah, I was like, yeah, it wasn't snowing. And I was seeing it, it was at night, and I was thinking, well, you know, sometimes frozen precipitation falls at night. So I went outside for a while. Didn't see anything, had to go back in and get a light. It was about a minute or two, and then I saw it. My cameras were, I guess maybe with the light and the lens were refracting off of these tiny little, whatever they were, strands of something coming down, like a strand. You know, say like a hair, but very reflective. And it was coming down. Now, did I look outside? Do I have a microscope? No. That was another thing that Mr. X alluded to about talking about things you don't know about. Well, maybe Mr. X does. Maybe he has all the money and the equipment to know about things. But people have something that's worth far more than that equipment is. It's called perception. That's a human skill and a human tool that's been used since the caveman. That's why caveman survived to evolve into us. Maybe. Okay? Trying to make a point about these data centers. This is Chinese espionage. That's what this is. This is a total espionage ring. This is an elite government setting itself up above you. There's no need for it. And if they're too lazy to hire people to keep records, that's right. My animals were disturbed by the phone call. We don't need data centers that use thousands of gigawatts of electricity, and we don't need cameras on every street corner, because like I said, should you be inventing something and you want to go to some remote place and you're being followed and watched all the way to where you're going, you're never going to invent anything. It's going to be owned before it's ever invented. Trust me on that one. Watch my other previous videos for the last 10 years. The way some of the things that I invented were stolen right out from underneath me. Google. You have no expectancy of privacy using Google. Not your search history, not your viewing history. That's where they're going with this. I hate to give an ominous warning like this, but I'm just telling you, I'm onto it. And other people are onto it right now. I haven't heard Alex Jones pipe up. I'm waiting to hear him say something. Thanks for watching my videos, guys.